Greetings, and welcome to Live from Caid. Tonight's special guest is the Editor of Tournaments Illuminated, Magister Riordan MacGregor. And featuring a live performance by Mistress Aneleda Falconbridge from the Kingdom of the East. Me, I'm your announcer, Master Bjorn of the Northern Sea. And here's your host, Master Laertes McBride.
Well, greetings and good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I hope you had a good week since last time we visited. I know I had a kind of a busy week, but it was good. So let's kind of get the kingdom-specific announcements out of the way right quick so we can get to the show. Well, first off, the next Royal Thursday, where the Majesties and sometimes Her Highnesses come along and tell us the latest news for the kingdom, how things are looking for the coming month. And it's going to be on Thursday, July 9th. So we have a couple of weeks till it's there. Also, I hope you had an opportunity to join the online court that happened this past Saturday. If you hadn't had an opportunity to see court, because, you know, who doesn't want to spend an hour watching court? It's available on the Kingdom Facebook group, and it's also on the Kingdom YouTube channel. And then just a reminder, there are no events scheduled in the Kingdom for the month of July. And as I mentioned, next Royal Thursday, we will get an update from the Crown as to how things look for the months ahead. Well, that's all I have. So let's bring in my friend, Master Bjorn. He's going to be coming in just a second. Hello, Bjorn. Oh, I didn't mute. Do you now just not start talking to give me that second to remember to unmute you?
To be honest, I figure we'll figure it out eventually.
So for those playing along at home, that's the first unmuting I've forgotten so far. So how are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you very much. This is going to be this week is actually my birthday week, so I'm excited to see what wondrous things one does in quarantine for one's birthday. So it'll be fun.
You can have a virtual party.
I intend on it. I think I will be doing a Facebook Live karaoke thing, just a little bit of singing at some point.
Well, that'll be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I was speaking about online court this past weekend, and I just wanted to congratulate you on your royal recognition of excellence that you received for your work on the show.
And want to congratulate you for yours as well. So who would have thought?
I know. So we're an award-winning show. So well,
we are indeed.
So at this point, I want to turn it over for your recommendations for online arts and sciences.
Thank you. So back on St. Patrick's Day, did we even have a march? I'm not sure. A young and talented Laurel from Antir, Mistress Disa Ibakalundi, decided to host a series of classes, online classes, that was going to be taught by herself and also by others on a myriad of subjects. And her current schedule, at least for her live classes, is on her Facebook artist page. Her catalog classes are on her WordPress site, which will be shown in a little bit. And she also has excellent tutorials on her YouTube channel. As an aside, her current classes are scheduled for Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. and Sundays at 2 p.m. All of these times are Pacific Standard Time, but they are fantastic. There are classes upcoming this week on the six-board chest, classes on various types of costuming, all number of things. And really, this is an amazing resource that we have that is also open in several different platforms. As I said, there's the Facebook group, there's the WordPress site, there's the YouTube channel, and also, in case you're curious about being a part of it yourself, she actually has a class on how to teach online classes. This is mostly about how to utilize Zoom or things to that effect. So if you have something that you'd like to teach other folks, you didn't get in on the Blood Arts Challenge, you didn't get in on Collegium, but you're still wanting to scratch that itch on showing some people a new nifty thing that you have been working on over this quarantine time, take the class and see if maybe it might not do something you would want to do. So the second website that I wanted to talk about. This has been in the news a lot recently, and it is primarily because of the amazing find that was recently discovered at Stonehenge. And it's a discovery of a new circle. And it is, and I quote, a stone's throw away from Stonehenge, which, depending upon the size of the stone and who's throwing it, could be a couple inches to, I don't know, 400, 500 yards. But regardless, this is the English Heritage website. So it's the org.uk site that covers over 400 sites throughout the British Isles. And it is an amazing resource that has all manner of things, both that would be, you would say, post-period for us. For example, there's things on the most recent finds from some Cold War bunkers that they have unearthed, and to things way, way, way before what we've been studying, as the aforementioned Stonehenge, plus all of the castles and all of the things that exist on the English Heritage site. So I recommend that you go through that heartily and highly. It is a relatively easy site to navigate, and I think that you'd have a lot of fun with it. So those are the two sites that I'm recommending this week. Also on Facebook on the 24th, if you happen to be cruising around and you see me bellowing at you in musical theater, just swing by and say hi.
Well, that's awesome. We have a few questions on comments. They didn't get the name of the person you're talking about from on tier. Could you revisit?
Yes. Mistress Disa Iberkilundi. And her artist page is on Facebook. And let's see if I pull it up. So yes, Disa Iberkilundi, and then there's a little space, and then Early Sweden. So when you look up that Facebook page, that redirects you to her YouTube channel, to her WordPress site, and also to all of the classes that are upcoming this week. So it is kept up to date, a very thorough site, really, really a wonderful resource, and we're very fortunate to have her with us, our Ontarian cousin, showing off not only the wonderful things that she teaches, but also a series of guest teachers coming in, teaching any number of other subjects.
Well, that's great. And yeah, I thought I'd answer the questions that came up in the chat. So, and you got to thank you for that. So who do we have up first this evening?
We have with us today Magister Riordan MacGregor, the current editor of the Tournaments Illuminated. For those, well, you know what? I'm just going to let Your Excellency explain what that is, and I will talk to you about that later. Then.
All righty. Well, thank you, Bjorn. I'll put you down here where we can hear you but not see you, and let's bring in my good friend Riordan. Hello. Oh, you're muted. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. Now you're unmuted. Hi.
Hi. Let's start with how are you this evening?
I'm good. How are you? And it's good to see you. It's been much too long. I mean, even with this quarantine prior to that, we didn't see each other as much as we, at least for me, would like to see each other and have our paths cross.
Well,
so.
Absolutely. I am sure that that there'd be a few more myths and legends afoot in the kingdom if you and I had spent more time around each other these past few years. But right. Modern life is what it is, and you've had a lot on your plate. So
I've had 12 years of a lot on my plate, but that's a different story. So the reason I asked you to be on the show today is, you've been the editor of Tournaments Illuminated for almost a decade now, right? For about 8 years or so?
In fact, actually, I figured it out. My tenure as editor started with issue 179, which was in 2011. And I'd actually been on staff for 3 or 4 years before that.
So really, it is a labor of love that you've been involved with this publication and just kind of shepherded it as editor for, like I said, almost a decade.
I was really lucky. I was preceded in the editor's chair actually by a cascade of talented people. Diana Paxson was one of the first people to put out the magazine, and was followed in the editor's chair by a lot of really talented individuals. My immediate predecessor, Mistress Doria Tekla, shepherded Tournaments Illuminated for quite some while, and in fact, she was the one who brought me on as staff. And when I took over from her, she had been editor and art director both. And as an art director, I make an excellent editor. So I was fortunate in that she agreed to stay on as my art director, and so it's at least largely, I think, owing to her that I've been with it as long as I have, because she made it very easy. And then I want to be sure to say that when she retired as art director, I literally, I didn't quite despair of finding someone to replace her, but those were some big shoes. And Tournaments Illuminated's current art director, Mistress Gwendolyn of Amberwood, is every bit as good. She is just as much a giant, and I am every bit as blessed to work with her. And both of those ladies are largely why Tournaments Illuminated looks as good as it does. I like to hope that I have something to do with it, but I think it's mostly my job has to do with channeling folks' enthusiasm.
So for people unfamiliar with Tournaments Illuminated, what's kind of like its mission statement? What purpose does it fill in the SCA?
Well, originally it was something of a almost like a notice of coming events. It was it started out a fair bit different than what it is now, as many things do. The first issue came out in spring to summer of 1967, and in fact, it wasn't dated. If memory serves, the issue number 2 is dated midsummer 1967, I believe. And articles appeared in it also, but it was as much to keep members in touch with each other as anything. In fact, back in TI's 45th anniversary year, we did a series of interviews with people who had been involved in it in its early days. And I talked to John and B. Joe Trimble, Master John Ap Griffin, and Mistress Flavia Beatrice Carmignani. And apparently Mistress Flavia had been, some of the group had been up working at the first Northern California Renaissance Fair in 1967. The SCA had a booth, and that's where she started selling subscriptions. The first one went to Sir Robert of Dunharrow. As of the 45th anniversary year, TI's, not the SCA's, he was still a member, in fact. So that was fun. Since then, it's a vehicle for folks to share their enthusiasms. Really, honestly, I can put it no better than that. It used to be a benefit of membership. It is not currently. It is a separate subscription. We do like to think we get good value, but it still is just that. It's a venue in which people share their passions and their enthusiasms and their new research and their redactions and their recreations.
Now, is there a submission process, or is there kind of a validation or a verification of what's put in the articles?
In fact, there is. I don't want to scare anyone away. It is not a peer-reviewed journal by any means, although future article submissions are vetted anonymously, I might add. Basically, if you are interested in writing something of feature length, let's just call it an article. If you're interested in writing an article, a good thing to do is visit the SCA website and then go to the TI pages, look at the index. You can look at the index by topic. You can look at the index by issue number. Go to the index by topic, check your topic, and see if we've published anything on it in the last 5 years or so. We like to separate treatments of subjects by about that much, simply because that allows for new discoveries, and it also allows for sometimes for the processing of discoveries that have already been made. Rather like the Hubble telescope takes all those pictures, but it takes them a while to get them processed and out to the public. The same thing here. Sometimes the excavation might have been done 10 years ago or 5 years ago, but the research is only out now. So basically, I don't know how to do anything the short way, but here's the best I can do. Look at the index, see if we've published on it recently. Even if you have what you think is a unique angle, you can write anyway. Write to the editor and say, hey, I'd like to submit an article on such and such a subject. And chances are excellent, I will write back and say, that would be fabulous. Here, let me assign that a number. So you'll get a number, and the reason that everything gets a submission number is because you'd be amazed, or perhaps you wouldn't, if you think about it. The number of keywords that any handful of submissions would have in common, words like medieval, brewing, Viking, even tapestry. The numbers came after we realized that we were saying, I sent you back that article on brewing, which one? So you'll get a number, and the nice thing about the number is that then you submit it. As a general rule, I'll look it over first. If it's something that I know enough about to comment, you'll get my initial comments back. If it isn't, then it goes directly out to a lovely panel of volunteer readers, some of whom have specifically said, here are my areas of expertise. Some people just read for general interest. We're certainly happy to have both. And it goes out with the number on it only to the person doing call them beta readers if you like. And then they put together a list of comments or questions. Most things are read by at least 2 people. Some are read by many more. Everybody puts in their comments, and then they send them back to me. And of course, because this is only identified by number, no one who is reading it knows who has written it. And then I get the comments back, and I distill them all into one letter so that the author has them all of a piece. And I also don't say who said what. So the author doesn't know who's reviewing it. The reviewer doesn't know who's authored it. It's all anonymous. And generally what happens is I send those comments back, and the author says, and makes any revisions that might be necessary or answers questions. Most things get batted back and forth a couple of times. It depends on what it is. But as a general rule, eventually we get down to the finish sanding stage, and then it's off to press.
So basically, what you're saying.
I was going to say, I don't suppose that was very clear. Would you like me to clarify any part of it?
Oh, no. I think it's good. Basically, you get submissions. You send what you're interested after you've done some research to see if there's been an article in the past 5 years. Drop an email to you. You'll send it out to the readers. If it's an area that you don't have expertise on, send notes back to the person with a number. It's all anonymous. And you get to the point where it's ready for publication and it gets published. So
there you go. The other thing I'd like to mention is that just in case there's someone sitting out there saying, gosh, darn it, I would love to write something, but I don't feel I have enough expertise. We've had some great articles on first attempts at things. That's just as legitimate as anything else. We've had great articles from people who had never tried whatever it was before. But in addition, if you simply feel like I'm not up to that, we also accept book reviews, and not just brand new books, but we also accept reviews of foundational material, volumes that should be in any reenactor's library. TI recently published its first video game review, for that matter. We've done streaming media reviews. We occasionally publish essays, opinion pieces, if you like. So there are, and for that matter, there's a humor column. So there are any number of ways to get involved and end up in print in TI without actually having to write a full-length article.
Right, and basically it's just to drop an email to you at tieditor@sea.org.
Yes, that's correct.
And you'll respond back and help shepherd them through the process so they can get something out there. Now, as you said, it used to be bundled with your membership, but now you have to subscribe to it separately. And basically, don't you just kind of go to the marketplace area on sea.org and find it? Is that where it's at?
Yes. And as I understand it, subscriptions can be added to memberships at any time. Mm-hmm. But SEA Marketplace is where you go. And that's also where you can go to find some of our back issues, although I think as far back as it goes is only about issue 132. So we're talking maybe late 80s, early 90s.
Right. Because before that, it was just a mimeograph that ran off.
And yeah, right. When it started, we were still doing it on wax tablets.
Nice. So I have a thing. So when I was thinking about this and talking to you about it, I think I had a realization that Tournaments Illuminated do you think the title's just to play off of Sports Illustrated? I mean, I'm sure everyone else knows that, but to me, like a couple of days ago, it's like, oh, that's probably why it's called Tournaments Illuminated. Is that true?
I'm not sure. That might be a shade past my pay grade, but what I have heard is that the question has been put to people who were shepherding it in the early days, and that the answer had come back, well, probably that's what we meant, but who knows?
Lost in mists of time.
There was, I wish I had thought to ascertain exactly which issue it was. There was, in fact, the Tournaments Illuminated Medieval Edition, which was blazoned across the cover TIME with periods, of course. But and that was done on purpose, just for fun.
Well, maybe you can shepherd a swimsuit issue of Tournaments Illuminated. That would be nice.
Would Your Excellency be volunteering for that by any chance?
Only if I can wear a Speedo. Speaking of wearing Speedos, this is the point where I like to toss it to Bjorn to see if Bjorn has a question for you. So Bjorn?
Oh, dear.
Well, beyond the... well, never mind. I'm not going to go there. Actually, yes, I do. My question for you, Your Excellency, is what is the most unusual article that has been presented to you during your tenure?
The faintest idea if my mic is still live.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, you can't hear Bjorn? So Bjorn's
No, I cannot.
Bjorn's question is, what is the most unusual article that you've published during your tenure?
Oh, dear, during my tenure. During my tenure. Mm.
What's one that sticks in your mind?
Well, I was going to say during my tenure as editor, I don't think we've really done anything all that unusual. I do remember one that I believe was while I was still actually, before I had come to the editor's chair. And that was, it's an article called The End of the Dead, and it regarded the use of dead combatants as biological warfare.
Oh.
And, put them in the trebuchet and lob them over the castle wall and let the resulting diseases and pathogens do their work.
That's what I use my fencing students for.
Extra points. Pardon?
That's what I use my fencing students for. Hi, Nico.
I was going to say extra points if you get it in the water supply. So, and gosh, I guess unusual. Well, well, that's true. I'm being reminded that that one year in the humor column, which normally takes a page, we took 2 pages because there was a submission that involved the Penzic, the board game, and basically it was about getting to Penzic, and so one page was the game instructions and the other page was the actual game board. But I was just thinking we've had some interesting responses to some individual quest topics. Quest articles are built around a central topic that people send in individual contributions to, and we had some fun answers. One of the topics was, and we go back and forth between conversational topics or chat topics and then things that are skills based. So we might have, there's a quest coming up on hints for bread makers and bakers, which is more timely than ever. On the other hand, some of the conversational topics were the first time I got called to court. We had some interesting responses to one topic. It was mysteries of the Middle Ages. And then we did one called 3 for Dinner. In fact, I've been thinking it's been long enough since we did that one that it might be time to ask it again. If you could invite any 3 people from across society, period, who would they be and why? So.
Very cool. Well, I want to thank you for coming on and talking about Tournaments Illuminated. I know, looking at the comments that are here, people love it as a great resource with the how-to articles and reviews and research and humor and so much more, and talking so kindly about the quest articles you've mentioned. So hopefully this reflects upon the guidance that you've put in for the past 10 years of how people respect and really look forward to Tournaments Illuminated. And I really want to encourage people out there, if you don't have a subscription, to go to the SCA Marketplace and check it out. And look out some of the archived editions that you can order that have very cool articles that would be something you could be interested in right now too. So I appreciate your time today. Really, it's so great to see you. It's been much too long. So hello to the lovely Her Excellency, who's your cameraman, camera person.
I will. Thank you so much for affording me the opportunity. I have called this the toughest job I ever loved. It is so wonderful to be able to bring the fruits of members' labors to other members. It's I can't say enough about it. The magazine is what it is because members make it what it is, and I've enjoyed every single minute of it.
Well, great. Well, you have a great rest of your evening, and hopefully we'll cross paths soon. Have a great night. Thank you.
You do the same.
Well, hello, Bjorn.
Hello there.
That was awesome.
That was really fun.
Truth be known, I haven't known that much about Tournaments Illuminated and the process that they go through to get everything vetted. So that was fascinating for me. So
it was a lot of fun. I long before Riordan's tenure, as we had discussed, there was a time period there where there were people stepping down as editor and people stepping up and then leaving for jobs, and then people stepping up and leaving for maternity leave. And there was a point there where I sent in, I think, an article 3 separate times and it never did get published. And then a few years later, someone else wrote something very similar, and I was like, let them do it. So I'm glad that Riordan has been such a steady hand at the till to make sure that it continues to go in the direction that it does. And so I'm very pleased we were able to have Their Excellency with us this evening.
Well, I'm really looking forward to the swimsuit issue myself. And
You know, if you've been watching the comments on Facebook, there will be some. There's going to be fallout from this, my friend. I'm not sure what, but subatomic thermonuclear most likely.
Be careful what you ask for. So let's move on. Who do we have performing tonight?
We have Mistress Aneleda Falconbridge with us from the Kingdom of the East,
Ooh.
who is going to be performing for us. And so I will step out so you can do some introductions of your own.
All righty. Well, let's welcome her to the show. And here she comes right about now. Well, hello. Oh, you're muted. You're muted. Okay. Anyone that had two unmutes on their bingo card for the night? That's two. Hello.
Hello.
Well, let's say you're joining us from the Kingdom of the East, and I believe like right smack dab in the middle of Maine, if I'm correct.
This is true. I'm in the Barony of Endoward, which is right smack dab in the middle of Maine, just after the solstice. So right now the nights are still a dark blue, but our days are getting shorter and shorter too.
Nice. So I've never been to that part of the East, but it sounds like it's probably just gorgeous up there. So
it is really beautiful. I very rarely would say that it's time for a little bit more rain. It's time for a little bit of rain, but it has been a gorgeous summer. It's very fortunate for us who are up here that we have a lot of wilderness and lots of places to hang out outdoors, and we can get through sort of the isolating parts by not isolating from nature. And that's been a great benefit to most people here in the state for sure.
it's very nice. Yeah, so we cannot isolate ourselves from the concrete that's all over LA. So how long have you been in the SCA?
So this is 20-somethings, in the low 20-somethings, I think. I think it was around 2000 when a friend named Riordan brought me to my first SCA event, which was a 3-day camping event in Maine on the seacoast with big thick mists that rolled in the evenings and made the torches all hazy, and how and people from Quebec singing songs and all of the things that you remember from camp all the time, and how could a person not fall absolutely in love with that, right?
Right. So you found your passion in singing and performing and that type of bodyguards?
Yeah, so I've always been a singer since I was very little, and that led up through pretty consistently through everything, and I continue to do that outside of the SCA somewhat as well. But my second event was the Pensic War, and if we're going to do it, we're just going to do it, right? So my second event was Pensic, and we camped with a friend who was a North Shielder who had moved to Maine. And so North Shield, of course, has this fantastic Bardic community and this deep Bardic tradition. And so my very early experiences in the SCA were at their campfires and watching the North Shield fighters marching to war as they sang songs that Mistress Windrith had written. And it really just powerful and very beautiful experiences to have had. And so I also fell in love with Bardic.
Now, Her Majesty of the East, she, I reached out and said, you know what, I'd like to feature some performers, and don't tell anyone else. But she first off, you were the first name out. So I think you have your reputation precedes you.
She's also a very good singer. So you should know that as well.
I think she's busy right now. Maybe she has another job.
She's got a couple of things. We'll give her a little bit of time. Yeah, we're very fortunate. The East has a number of wonderful performers and a very rich performing arts community that has just blossomed and continues to do so. And I love being a part of this kingdom, and being able to represent her tonight is a great honor for me.
So what piece are you going to perform tonight?
So tonight I'm going to perform a song called By the Weight of the Chain. It's one that a number of people, I would say more people outside of the East are familiar with this song than probably other pieces that I've written. This particular piece is a song about chivalry and and agency. And for me, I wrote it thinking of a number of people who were on the path to chivalry, and but who weren't well represented by songs about things happening to them. They were people who really, I wanted a song that talked about what they were doing and their dreams. And in the East, we also have a great tradition of having masters in addition to knights in the chivalry. And so I also really wanted to tie those in. Master Farrell von Halstern is a legend of our kingdom in many places in the known world, and a great inspiration. And so I wanted to make sure that masters in his line were also sort of respected. So this particular song tonight will be the debut of a newly found verse. I found on a scratch of paper a verse from this song that was written, I don't even know how long ago. It might have even been the verse that started this song. And I found it this April, and I had posted it to Facebook, and a number of people commented, and Duke Brennan mentioned that he felt that this was the Crown's verse. And so tonight I decided that I would add it in to this song, which hadn't had it prior. So this will be the first time that we've sung the whole piece with that song, with that piece as well.
It's like the remastered version. Well, I will turn the floor to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. By the weight of the chain of gold I wear upon me, by the white of the cloth about my body bound, by the spurs on my heels, I do swear upon my honor to uphold the knightly virtues till I lay beneath the ground. When I was young, I watched the knights go riding, their armor so bright and their glory brighter still. My hands were small, but my dreams lay large around me. And once the goal had found me, I set out to gain my skill. By the weight of the chain of gold I wear upon me, by the white of the cloth about my body bound, by the spurs on my heels, I do swear upon my honor to uphold the knightly virtues till I lay beneath the ground. When I had fledged, I served as I was able. I found worthy knights and asked to learn their ways. My form grew strong, sturdy plates I wore upon it. When I finally could don it, and the heavy sword could raise, by the weight of the chain of gold I wear upon me, by the white of the cloth about my body bound, by the spurs on my heels, I do swear upon my honor to uphold the knightly virtues till I lay beneath the ground. When I had grown, I followed into battle, warriors of legend with my war kin at my side. My mind grew calm, all their lessons moving through me. My foes could not undo me with these masters as my guide. By the weight of the chain of gold I wear upon me, by the white of the cloth about my body bound, by the spurs on my heels, I do swear upon my honor to uphold the knightly virtues till I lay beneath the ground. When I was raised, I stood before my sovereigns and my new kinsmen, and unto them pledged my troth. My heart is bold, to the best I shall endeavor to defend the dream forever, which first took me toward my oath. By the weight of the chain of gold I wear upon me, by the white of the cloth about my body bound, by the spurs on my heels, I do swear upon my honor to hold the knightly virtues till I lay beneath the ground. As I grew wise, I walked beside my kingdom, then knelt before her and begged to know her need. She has my vow, before all I swore to serve her, to honor and preserve her in my every word and deed. By the weight of the chain of gold I wear upon me, by the white of the cloth about my body bound, by the spurs on my heels, I do swear upon my honor to hold the knightly virtues till I lay beneath the ground. When I was young, I watched the knights go riding, their armor so bright and their glory brighter still. My hands were small, but my dreams lay large around me. Once the goal had found me, I will ever heed its will.
Oh, very nice.
Excellent.
That was
Thank you.
amazing. What a great performance. And we've talked about it before with other performers. It must be tough just sitting in front of a monitor and giving the performance that you're used to with around a fireplace, around a fire with people watching and stuff. But man, that was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much for inviting me to come and be part of Live from Caid. This is a really exciting enterprise that you've embarked upon, and I think it really enriches our entire SCA community, especially at a time that we are distant from each other. And I love having the known world be kind of huggable at a moment like this due to a program like yours.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, that was the motivation to start this a few months ago now, to help highlight and bring us together, and moving beyond the Caid border to highlight and bring in people we wouldn't normally see. So I do have one question. So if people want some more of your music, is there a website they can go to?
Sure. Yep. So I can be found on Bandcamp, and so there are two Bandcamp accounts that are linked, and you can find Falconbridge.bandcamp.com, and the other one is AneledAFalconbridge.bandcamp.com. And By the Weight of the Chain is a very spectacularly produced version of that with Kari Garn-Harrison from the Mid-Realm singing along with me. We did a studio recording of that, which is a lot of fun. And so that's available too.
Well, great. Well, I want to encourage you after the show to check out the comments in the comments section. There's many nice things being said, well deserved too. But I know it's very late for you. Thank you so much for joining us on the West Coast, and perhaps our paths will cross one day.
Yes, I certainly hope so. Until we all come again. Thank you so very much for having me. It was a great pleasure to meet you both.
Oh, it's great to meet you, and stay healthy. We'll see you hopefully later.
I hope so.
Well, hi, Bjorn.
Hi there.
So that was amazing. Oh my God.
I know that recording, the one that was done with her companion in the Mid-Realm, and that's how I first heard that piece. It is really, really fun, and it's a very, very moving piece. I didn't know the history behind it until she had explained it, and now it even makes it's a more deeper connection now, and I'm glad that we had Mistress Aneleda as a guest. I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing that out of this is we had the opportunity to hear performers we normally wouldn't, or people we've heard of or heard recordings of, and an opportunity to see it live. I think it's just fantastic. It really is. So speaking of performers and seeing people live, who do we have next week? Well, I'll tell you who we have for the interview, because we're going to go back and have an interview with Sir Guillaume, talking about his background, his involvement, his reigns, what he's doing for training and outside the SCA. And then who do we have to perform for us next?
We have a guest from our own Barony of Leondomir. Lady Sechin will be coming on doing a performance for us. And so she was recently one of the co-stewards of the most recent online extravaganza that we had, where Leondomir have their new baronial seats were taken over. So she not only was doing things of a more of a service nature, she'll be performing for us this upcoming week. So a lot of hats being worn.
That's awesome. So that's next week. And then just so you know, we're starting to book out July, and we've arranged an all on Stioran night. We're going to have one of their bards come and perform. And then I've reached out to someone who is deeply steeped in falconry and jousting. So he'll come on and talk to us about that. So we have plenty going on. We ain't going away right now. So anyway, thank you, Bjorn, and we will see you next week.
Take care, everyone. Take care, sir.
All righty, and be sure to join us next week. And once again, we will be live from Caid. Thank you.